Okay, so what I'm working on here is making a little video sort of process diary entry kind of thing about this comic strip that I'm working on. And I just kind of wanted to talk about the process and show you how I'm putting it all together. So let's see. I've got my computer here. I wanted to show you the first thing. This is what I'm working on. This is a comic about a character that I created who is a kid, but she's kind of like a private eye. So I'm kind of going for this sort of noir, Dick Tracy kind of vibe, and this one is kind of a ghost story as well. But what I wanted to do, you can see I've got it set up in this 4-panel format, and this works really well for looking at your phone, reading something on your phone. It's a very good format. If I go profile this way, it fits my phone like perfectly. But I wanted to show you kind of the process that I have for putting this together. So what I'm doing right now is I've got this thumbnail. So a thumbnail is a very small drawing. And the reason that I'm doing this very small like this is because it's going to be showed on a screen and it's going to be so tiny, it helps to start out drawing it tiny. Now the problem is when I go to finish this picture, this series of pictures, it's hard to get in there and do any details because it's so small. So this is just a 3x5 card, and I've actually turned it into a 3x4 card, which is the perfect size for the phone. So now I'm going to jump over to my computer and show you the next step. Okay, so now I'm over here on my computer and I'm going to show you, I've taken a picture of my thumbnail, and I'm really happy with it. Like I said, when you draw small and quickly like this, it's much easier to get your composition right. Composition has to do with like where everything sits in the picture. So obviously it's very sketchy. I'm not too worried about minor details. I'm just trying to place the characters where I want them and stuff. And one thing that I realized when I got to this panel is the dog isn't quite looking at her eye line. See that? Now I could redraw it, but I like the drawing. So what I'm going to do in Photoshop is just kind of grab the head and then I can tilt it up like this. Now these little bits that got cut don't really matter too much because this isn't the final drawing, but that looks much better to me. So now the next step might seem kind of strange, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use my computer screen as basically like a light table, and I'm going to draw these panels bigger onto a piece of paper, which I'll show you in the next little video. So hang tight. Okay, now this is a very weird step in the process. You can see I've tilted my computer like this, and now I've got my piece of paper on the panel, and I'm going to basically just trace using a blue pencil. And you might be able to see that I've got this cool graph paper. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to use my blue pencil and trace this, and then I'll have a nice I'll have a nice pencil drawing that I can use to apply ink. So you'll see that in just a second. So let me get to work on my this step. Okay, so I have finished tracing my artwork onto the paper, and you can see I've just got, like, even still it's kind of just roughed in. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pencil, the blue pencil again, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to just, what's the word? I'm basically just going to define this drawing a little more. And the other thing that you notice is I'm drawing it long ways like this with the 4 panels in a row like this. And I told you that it's going to turn out like this when I'm done, and it will. So why draw it this way? I don't have a good reason for this. It's just I'm a fan of the old comic strip format where you had this, in fact, these are the exact dimensions of an old newspaper comic strip, told lengthwise. It's the only time I get to see the strip like this. So that's the only reason I have. So I'm gonna get in here, do these details, and in a little bit you'll see why I'm using a blue pencil. So that's it. Okay, so I've taken this pencil drawing and I've just really given more detail, fleshed things out, and I've done some shading too that indicates where some darker areas will be. The hair, obviously. I didn't bother filling all this in. I just put a little X, which is kind of a note to myself. When I get into Photoshop, I'll just use a fill tool to fill that all in black, save myself some ink. This whole area will be black. So these black and white areas are really important to create this style of strip that I want to have. It's really just a comedic strip, a humorous strip, but I want it to have the feeling of a drama. So that's why we have these black and white areas of such contrast. And this is my thumbnail. You can see even on this, I've taken a marker and I've tried to punch up the where the black areas are going to be. And then I do use some gray tones as well. So I'll probably take this thumbnail and kind of fill that in as well, just so I can, again, get that feeling as I start inking of how this is going to look on a small screen when I'm finished. Okay, so I'm going to start doing a little inking. I'm going to try to show you a little bit how I do it. I'm using this bottle of ink here, and India ink, and I'm using just a small brush that I have, small round brush, and this is going to be kind of challenging. I'm not going to do very much because I'm holding the phone while I do this, but I just kind of wanted to show you how I go about it. I actually have this little cardboard tool that I put over the parts that I'm not inking, but I'll just go in here and apply some ink. And I like using this brush because I've got a nice bold line there when I'm finished. So I'll just go ahead and do this panel, and then I'll turn the phone back on. You can see how it looks when I've finished inking this little bit. Okay, so you can see I've done quite a bit here. It took me maybe 5 minutes to get this much done. You just have to keep dipping the brush in the ink. You can see that I left part of this up here white. I'm not going to fill that. Sorry, I'm not going to fill this in. I find with this approach, the more white space that I leave, the better. And I like how this is turning out, actually. Now, I will go in when I go into... Sorry, this is really hard to try to tape what I'm doing and do it and talk. But what I'll do is when I bring this into Photoshop, there's some little things that I'll fix in Photoshop, and like I'm not totally sure if I like this little black area here. In the old days, cartoonists had to get it right pretty much the first time, or use some white out or some white paint to go over areas they weren't happy with. But when we use Photoshop, it's much easier. Okay, well, I'm gonna leave it like this. I think that's pretty good. I'm even gonna leave this open because I'm wondering if I'm gonna leave this whole thing open instead of boxing it in. So we'll take it to the next step in a minute.